Hello and welcome to the Freedom Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Kaya, energy healer, psychic channel, and spiritual mentor for women who are ready to ditch the spiritual rulebook, release the pressure and overwhelm, and let go of all that comparison that makes you feel like what you're doing isn't enough. In this podcast, I'm going to share bits of my journey with you, as well as my wisdom and knowledge to show you that spirituality gets to be something that works for you and not something that you work for. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello. Today I want to talk about probably one of the most important pieces to manifestation, spiritual growth, personal development, all the things I love to talk about. I feel like I say this a lot. I'm always like, this is one of the most important things, but like, honestly, this is. I feel like this is. And I'm just going to dive right into it. I feel like I used to do a lot of like podcast intro type things, like what's happening in my life right now. And like, I also just feel like I want to get down to the juice. So I hope you appreciate that. So one of the most important pieces of manifestation and personal spiritual growth is untangling yourself from other people. And this is not in the way of like, being in solitude all the time. Like, of course, that is important to have some solitude. And this isn't like untangling yourself from all the people in your life. And like, that's a whole nother conversation. But what I mean by this is untangling your thoughts, beliefs, and desires from other people. What I see happen so often is that we desire things because we see that other people desire them or have them, right? And we see this a lot with like, luxury items, for example. Like everyone's like, I want this, like, I don't even know, like I'm not into luxury items, so maybe it's like a Prada purse or something. Like everyone has a Prada purse and I want one too. And we start to like be like, I desire this thing, like it shows that I have money, it shows like it's super cute or like whatever. Like I desire to live in a big giant mansion because like who wouldn't, right? It's like all these things. I desire to just travel the world all the time and be a digital nomad because like that's the ultimate goal for entrepreneurs, right? And it's like all of these things that we see and we see like, I don't want to say like idolized, but like we see them on Instagram and like these people are so happy and like all this stuff. But like what the key piece here is that just because someone else desires something doesn't mean that you actually do too. And this was kind of a funny realization for me because I desired so many things, like, or I thought I did. Like, I was like, oh yeah, like I want to have like a big mansion. I want to be a digital nomad. Like I want to, have like this really nice car, like all these things because like, people I looked up to had them. Like, that's great. And these are just the things we desire in life, right? And it really hit me one day when I was like, oh, like, do I actually want those things? Because, like, I kind of don't. Like, and it was kind of this funny realization of, like, did I only want them because, like, somebody else had glorified it? Or, like, somebody else had it and I felt like I should too because, like, they're, quote, successful or something, right? And it took me a few minutes to like, or not even a few minutes, it took me quite a while actually to really untangle my desires from other people and to really think like, I don't really desire like, whatever car. Like I actually don't really care about cars at all. Like as long as it's like comfy and like good on gas or like whatever, like I'm good. Like I'm not a car person. And I don't really care about like designer items. Like I don't care if my purse is designer. I don't care if my clothes are designer. As long as like I feel comfortable in them, that's all that really truly matters to me. So like I really had to start untangling all these bits and like, I don't desire to be nomadic. Like, yeah, I desire to travel, but I also love having like a grounded home base. And when we start to really like look at like what we actually desire, manifestation becomes a lot easier. Like it's just like it's so hard to manifest something that your soul and your heart doesn't actually desire, but like your ego desires. And in this, like when we start to tune into like, okay, like if I don't actually desire these things that other people are like they have, and if they desire them, that's amazing. Like, everyone desires something different. I'm not saying something is good or bad, but it's really starting to think about, like, what do I actually desire? What motivates me? Like, what would feel so good to me to have? And maybe that is luxury items. Maybe that is being nomadic. Maybe that is like traveling all around the world, or like having a family or not having a family, or whatever it is for you. And once you start to connect to that, everything starts to unravel. Like, you start to really understand, like, oh, like, that's why, like, when I was trying to do XYZ, it didn't work out. Or like, when I was doing things from the motivation of receiving this thing that I don't actually want, that's why, like, it wasn't working. And manifestation just becomes so much easier when we're actually manifesting something that we want. And the twofold part to this is not only untangling our desires from other people, but untangling our thoughts and beliefs as well. And this is it's kind of related and it's kind of unrelated, but I just want to do it all in one episode. But it's like, when we start to untangle ourselves from other people, the big key here is untangling the thoughts and beliefs that other people have that we like project onto ourselves, or they project onto us, kind of thing, right? So like, this can show up in like a lot, especially when you're on your spiritual awakening and maybe people around you in your friendships or your family, like, they aren't. And so we can start to feel like, I want to like look into all this stuff and grow spiritually or whatever it is. But a lot of people in my life think that's weird. So like, it must be kind of weird, right? And this is where, like, when we choose to start our spiritual awakening and we choose to like go down the path of healing, we're already starting to untangle ourselves from other people, because most people actually don't step up and do this work, unfortunately, in their life. And we're some of the few people who do. And so when we start to like, continue to pull this thread of like, okay, like, what other beliefs am I picking up from other people that aren't actually true for me? And this is where you start to like uncover your own truth and your own beliefs around, like, what is or isn't true to you in spirituality, because there's no right or wrong. There's no black and white, right? We all believe different things and it's perfect. But it also is where we start to untangle societal beliefs and stuff as well. Like, entrepreneurship has to be hard, or, like, I say marriage is compromise, and like, in some ways it is, but also like, you shouldn't have to compromise what you desire just to be with somebody, right? So like, it's where we start to get into like, what beliefs do the people around me hold? And are those beliefs, coming on to me, and do I actually believe them? And this is where we start to hear the saying too, where people are like, you're like a mashup of like the 5 people you hang out with the most, or something like that. And in some ways this is true, because like, the people we hang out with are often like, we're sharing bits of energy with them, and like, we often have the same values and beliefs and things. And so we can pick up the beliefs other people have. Like, I think this is so true right now in society, where everyone's like, money is tight right now. Money's tight for everyone. The housing market is insane. And like, in some ways it is. There's truth in this. Okay. Like, there's, data and whatever. But a lot of people start to pick up the beliefs of like, I'm broke. I'm like, I'm poor. Like, I struggle. Like, living month to month on paychecks is just my normal forever. And like, that's okay. And they settle for it. And like, all these things, when it's like, that doesn't actually have to be your truth if you don't want it to be. Like, if that's what you desire, like, that's fine. But where are you picking up beliefs from your friends that aren't actually really resonant to your soul? And this is where I made a post recently on Instagram about like outgrowing things. This is where we start to see ourselves outgrowing people, right? Where we start to notice that, like, as I'm growing as a human and as a soul, when I go back and hang out with my friend group or whatever that only likes to just complain about life and like whatever, then it doesn't feel good anymore. I don't really have the same beliefs as them anymore. And like, when I hang out with them, I end up feeling kind of like, because all they want to do is talk about how like money is so tight, and like they hate their jobs, and like things are so tough with XYZ and like the relationships suck and all these things, when like that actually isn't true for me. And so this is when we start to see in our spiritual awakenings and our healing journeys, whatever, that sometimes we just outgrow people, and it isn't a bad thing. It isn't bad that like they want to stay where they are, and like, you know, maybe one day they'll grow in a different direction or whatever, but like we can't save people and we can't hold ourselves back because we feel bad. Like we can't hold ourselves back and be like, well, like, I don't know, I don't want to like lose friends, so like I'm just going to keep hanging out with them, even though like I feel terrible after I hang out with them. We really have to start noticing like where we're getting enmeshed with the people we're spending time with, and where that feels good and where it doesn't, and just be really honest about it. And this is one of the hard parts of, you know, a spiritual awakening, of the growth journey, is really discerning like what needs to be released. And this is people, this is situations, this can be jobs, it can be like whatever, beliefs, thoughts, like all these things need to be released. And like it's such an important part, right? So I think this is like one of the biggest pieces when it comes to manifestation and growth, is being willing to really see what you desire, like to really tune into your own heart, follow what you desire over what other people desire, follow what you believe over what other people believe, follow your thoughts over other people's thoughts, and really allow yourself to untangle, to outgrow if needed, to set boundaries where needed, and to grow, to allow yourself to grow, right? So that's the message I have to share today. I feel complete. So if this resonates for you, of course, I'd love to hear from you. As I always say, I love to have chats with you guys. If anything's coming up for you, let me know. If you're looking for a space where you can be with like-minded people on their growth journey, then I would love to invite you into my group membership. It's group energy healing, group channeling. Like it's all like, we have a fun little group chat. There's weekly Q&A. I channel like specific advice just for you. You can ask questions about your own life. And then we have a monthly energy healing session as a group with different themes, which is just a great way to stay connected as a group. It's a great way to experience sisterhood, be connected with people who are on the journey with you, and also to have regular energy maintenance so that you're feeling amazing all the time. So link is in the show notes for that, and link is also in the show notes for my Instagram if you want to send me a message and connect about anything I shared today. And other than that, as always, I invite you to give me a beautiful rating on this podcast, leave a comment about how much you love it. And yeah, it just helps me get my message out there. It helps me share my mission, share what I have to say with others. And I appreciate it so much when you do that. So thank you. Sending you so much love, and we'll chat again next time.